What's next? Compassionate listening. That's something I have to keep practicing. It's something, compassionate listening is when someone talks to you and you basically want to have a discussion. And they come up with something that unfortunately might come across to you like, what the feck? What the frick? Why are you saying that to me? But that happens in your head. And if you're compassionate listening, you listen. You continue to listen to them, even though what they might be saying might be at some point offensive. And you're like, wait, if someone's offending me, if someone's trying to turn a pleasant debate into an argument, why should I stand for that? Well, for the first thing is, if you want to have a discussion with someone, you have to respect them. A loved one, a friend, a relative. Do you have a common history? Even a coworker. Second thing is, the offensive thing that they're saying to you might not even be aimed at you. It might be their subconscious trying to get a message to them. And they're coming across a little elevated in emotion because their subconscious wants them to be aware of it, but they have no idea of how to express this issue. So your best bet is just to listen and not to defend yourself and not to argue. I mean, you can bring up points, but leave it at argument. Do not bring it up to the level of argument, because my experience is arguments never help anybody. But a discussion where both sides present two opposing sides of a subject that might have totally different ideas, but they're willing to discuss it. I mean, Democrats and Republicans can have a positive discussion because they both love the country. They're both doing their work for the country. But the same Democrat or Republican who's being paid off to do something, they're going to be a little bit more animated because they have a higher reason monetarily. And because it's monetarily, it's not moral. Their subconscious is going to fight them, raising the level of a simple discussion to an argument. It's the weird thing about how the subconscious works. It wants to get your attention, but it does it in an emotional way. So what am I saying? I'm saying avoid arguments. When you're having a discussion with somebody, try to leave it at a pleasant discussion. If they start to offend you, stop. Then start to listen. And sometimes that diffuses the situation because they expect you to defend yourself. They expect you to raise it up. But they're already raised up. But by you not raising it, it gives them chance to come back down, listen to themselves what they said, and backtrack a little bit. But if you try to defend yourself and try to raise it up to their level, well, they don't want to back down because they don't want to look stupid. But these are people who are, not aware. And even aware people, the funny path, the funny enlightenment path, sometimes you fall off of it. Sometimes you get meandered way off of it and you lose your sense of awareness. And you get yourself in the weeds. You get yourself overly emotional about silly things. Was it kill the ego? That kind of thing where somehow the ego is an enemy. Or I need more awake friends. Again, you're getting yourself off the path because you're missing the point. Being awake, being aware is a personal journey. Having others who are common is nice, but you really don't learn. You learn mostly by challenging yourself. And that's why having compassionate listening is important. the best teacher are those who give you a subject that you're not used to. You know, a Democrat trying to defend a Republican's ideas, they'll learn so much about themselves because, well, you know, if they have to defend it, they have to raise it up, they have to make it personal. So if you have a discussion with somebody and you listen to their point of view, you might learn more about your own point of view. You might find that you have some beliefs that are kind of focused in the wrong direction. Other times you'll find that you have a perspective that needs to change a slight bit. We're all here in this life to learn. We're constantly learning. As we become adults, sometimes we think, hey, I've learned enough. But how can you really work with someone? How can you teach someone? How can you progress through life if you're focused on who you used to be? You don't need to focus on who you want to be in the future. You just want to better yourself now. That's why I know I have to work more on myself and my own compassionate listening. Because I have some really good friends who have some really good points. And sometimes I come across in the wrong way. And I take offense to it. And it's easier with text to come back. And then, you know, sometimes you lose some of their perspective in text, so you have to backtrack a little bit and says, no, that's the wrong tone there. But if you're talking to someone face to face, which is happening very rare lately because of this quarantine thing, but I got to practice it more in text, because if you can compassionately listen to text, it gives you more time to practice not taking things the wrong way, so that when you meet people face to face and you have a conversation, you learn not to jump to conclusions, but to listen. And when they say something offensive, just stop. Let them continue talking. Because sometimes if someone says something offensive, they don't mean it, but they have to double down because they don't want to look like a fool. But if someone says something offensive and you quietly listen, you give them a chance to back off a bit. Because if they realize they made the mistake, it's much better than you pointing out their mistake. And let's let everyone be their best self. Let's let everyone find their best self. Let's let everyone have their perspective, have their points of view, and be able to listen to them. Now, if someone's verbally attacking you, you don't have to take it. You can just simply walk away. And that's different. If someone wants to argue with you, you don't have to argue back. You can just simply walk away and end the conversation. And that's kind of winning. For me personally, that's the best way of winning an argument. It's just not having it. Because no matter what, if you're in the middle of an argument, no one's going to win. It's just going to be ridiculous. It's going to waste of time. I don't want to waste my time. I have so many other important things to do. So, work on compassionate listening. Work on being your best self. Work on being happy. But on the end of the things, my ideas are just my ideas. They're not judgment. They're not written in stone. They're not written in cement. They're just what I think right at this moment. And my videos are just for me to document as I go along in life. And I have had a few people find what I say offensive. And I apologize for that, because it's only my point of view at this moment. But I firmly welcome people coming at me in even non-compassionate way, just so I can practice being compassionate and responding, and help me practice being my compassionate self and not taking offense when others are trying to offend me. Challenge me, that's fine. Rip me to pieces, that's good. I want to be at my best self. And if I can be at my best self, then I'm winning. And if I can help you be at your best self, then I'm winning. And if we can be at our best selves together, we're all winning. And that's good. To win is always good. What's next?